Hi again, it is me, Kill Switch, and just wanted to take a look at what's going on with football. And when I say football, I don't mean the NFL. What I actually mean is the AAFL. I hope I got the letters right when I said that. The XFL and the Freedom League. That's the other one. Right now it looks like what happened when independent baseball started. Those of you who know about independent baseball, it was a way of smaller cities getting baseball teams, or even some bigger cities. But there just wasn't enough room in the major league and minor league system, so you have what was known as renegade baseball and all types of other terms. You had the Northern League, the Frontier League, the Can-Am League, the Atlantic League. You had so many of them out there. Some are still going, and you get basically the same quality of baseball as you would get at minor league games. Entrepreneurs wanted to get out there and do something that either they weren't allowed to or price was too prohibitive. If you want to buy a minor league baseball team, you have to pay millions of dollars. But for an independent league, in a league that's just starting, you may pay $100,000 to $150,000 or something like that. You'll probably want to know how I would know that info because I actually tried to start one. Unfortunately, things went sideways. But yeah, this does look like the start of one of those leagues. I should say three. These are all spring football leagues. Um, the AAFL is being run by Dick Ebersol's son and whoever else. I can't think of names right now. I believe Kurt Warner was part of the advisory board, and there are others. Now, what's interesting is he's the son of the guy who helped Vince with the XFL. So, even though he doesn't have direct experience, he has someone who's been there and done it. I don't know what to say on the AAFL because they're in some small cities, and there was a league a few years ago who tried doing the same thing. Well, I won't say small cities because San Diego is one of them, but other cities that wouldn't have been on my radar. Now let's go over to the XFL. Vince McMahon is going to do it big. You know that. Everyone knows that. He has Oliver Luck as his commissioner. Yes, the father of Andrew Luck. This time he's going to tone it down, supposedly, and it's going to be more about football and not all the sideshow stuff. I have to admit, I kind of like the sideshow stuff of the XFL, but not for being a sideshow. But it was different. This is the way the independent leagues are. They do different things to bring fans in. But he took it to another level. This time it looks like he's going for more traditional football. He has cities which are now without teams, like St. Louis, which is what you would expect. So right off the bat, he's going to have people who are there who may just want to see football again. What else do we have there? I mean, as of right now, we don't know the total plan, but if it's just going to be regular football, I can see that possibly working in the cities that he picked. I mean, when I heard Vince was doing the XFL, I knew he would go for cities that have the fan base already there. Now, some of them may be like, oh, you're not my old team, so I don't want in. But others will be starved for football. And this is how the independent leagues work too. Some of them were in the suburbs of cities that had bigger teams. And someone may say, hey, the Cubs are like $100 a ticket or whatever the price is, but I can go see this for only 10. Let me bring the family. They'll get an experience that's similar but not exactly the same. And sometimes you grow fans out of that. Vince was taking his time to do this too. The start date's 2020. The AAFL was announced after the XFL and will launch next spring in 2019. And then we have one more league, which has Terrell Owens, Ricky Williams, and who knows who else. I know there's a bunch of former football players, and it's called the Freedom League. As of right now, we don't have much info on the league, but they are putting it together. I'm assuming the launch will be in 2020 because you're not going to announce it now and have no plan. I mean, you announce now, have a year or two of building up so people can get ready, cities can get ready, and all that. Now, one of the things that independent baseball did, you can take players from your team and sell them back to the minors or the majors. There was a price, whatever that price was, a release fee, so that the team can replace the player or just put it in their pocket, whatever the case may be. But it was so that the player gets a chance to go back. And these leagues may help with getting NFL players back in the league or getting players who went undrafted like Tony Romo a chance. I mean, imagine if Tony Romo never got his shot. I know Dallas didn't win with him, but they still won a lot of games. They just couldn't get to the Super Bowl and win. But look at him. Or a Tom Brady, who was a, what was it, 7th round pick? He was one of the last picks. Now, usually those players don't pan out. Now they would have a place to go and possibly hone their craft or flame out. Whatever the case may be, they'll at least have the chance. And what this does is it also gives a chance for head coaches, coordinators, and all that to go to that league, learn the craft, and maybe even get picked up by the NFL. Because you're going to, usually the NFL tries to stay away from college coaches because they haven't done it. But if you have someone who's in a league with the same rules, same basic plan, it's easier to make the hire and hope it works out. So, I wouldn't call it the renegades like the independent leagues back then because there just wasn't the media coverage that you have now. Now everything's covered by the media. Doesn't matter what it is, someone will be out there covering it. I don't know where I see this going. 3 leagues is a lot, but if there's enough cities, it can work. The problem with some of the cities, they're playing football after the NFL team. And that's going to have people like, oh, we're just watching bootleg football or, comments like that. So they may not show up. But others will because those cities have a population that it would work. You're going to have cheaper tickets, cheaper concessions, easier to bring a family of 4 there versus going to the majors. I should say the NFL, not the majors. We're talking football. Because just like some major league teams, $100 for 1 ticket. You can go to an independent game, bring your family of 4, get them all hot dogs, drinks, maybe popcorn too, and pay for parking and still be under that same $100 that it would be for the one person. So I'm interested in seeing where this goes. I don't know how much life there will be to it. The XFL, I know I'm watching because I want to see if Vince can do it right this time. The AAFL, which is a mouthful, um, I'll pay attention. The quarterback draft left a lot to be desired. Um, oh, and the Freedom League. You'll probably see some players that went undrafted or some who flamed out early get a chance. Yeah, like Christian Hackenberg. I don't know if he can play quarterback or not, but he's getting a chance in the AAFL with, I forget what team he was drafted for. But he didn't even get drafted in the first round. I didn't even recognize the names of the other players, except Josh Johnson. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting few years with this to see where it goes. Hopefully, it lasts longer than the XFL at 1 year. And I believe the other league, which I'm drawing a blank on the name right now, lasted a year also. And it was mainly low ticket sales. But the AAFL is getting a lot of attention. The XFL will get attention. I don't know about the Freedom League, but at least they have the media coverage. So, there's one thing that I noticed and I forgot to mention. There's an overlap on teams from the Freedom League and the XFL. I don't know what that's going to mean because two teams playing in San Diego or DC or whatever, obviously they're going to have different days, times, however they do that. Um, yeah, I'm just not sure on that part because the other one also has a San Diego team. And when you have a stadium sitting there, of course you're going to want someone in there because they're making money and you're making money. That's going to be interesting to see how they figure that out because if all three are playing in the spring, I guess you're going to have one team play Saturday, one play Sunday, one play another day, however they break that up. The other interesting thing about the Freedom League, which I forgot to mention before, is they're going with a billionaires not allowed policy. Now, if a billionaire comes along and say, "Hey, here's some money," I'm sure they'll let them in. But what they want to do is allow freedom, allow fan interaction, allow the fans to have a say. They also want to allow their players to take a stand, like the national anthem, which got turned into something else for political reasons. If someone wants to take a stand against a social issue, there shouldn't be an issue with that. Just let it happen, but you don't have to have cameras on it all the time. You don't have to make it into a national issue. But yeah, there is some overlap on teams, so that could get interesting. But I guess we'll see what happens. I'll be watching, and I'll have my opinion as usual. So until then, let's see what happens.